special election for the City of Portsmouth in the office of Commonwealth Attorney, sponsored by the Portsmouth Democratic Committee. My name is Commissioner Frankie Edmondson, and I'm honored to be the chair of the Portsmouth Democratic Committee. And we're going to start the program by offering a welcome. As you know, the Portsmouth Democratic Committee is one of the premier political organizations in the community, and it has been for many years. We are a proud service to Portsmouth and to the Commonwealth. And it's indeed an honor tonight to present this forum, question and answer session for you on behalf of the Portsmouth Democratic Committee. This is a topic that is of interest to the members of our community, and we want to provide this community service on behalf of the committee for you. It is a special election to take place on Tuesday, February the 10th. The polls will open at 6 o'clock a.m. and close at 7 o'clock p.m. All questions regarding the election itself or the activities on that particular day should be directed to the General Registrar's Office for the City of Portsmouth or State Board of Elections or Department of Elections for the Commonwealth of Virginia. Having said all that, I will say welcome and thank you for your attendance. We will have a Pledge of Allegiance and we'll have a prayer, so if you'll please stand with me as we begin the forum. We'll say the pledge together, and I will ask our chaplain, Pastor Joe B. Fleming, to offer an invocation. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor Fleming.
Dear God our Father, we are always happy and pleased that you provide us opportunities to come together, specifically when it relates to the enhancement of the quality of living in our community. We thank you for those who have come tonight as we have come to be a part of this special forum. Thank you for the privilege of elections. Thank you for freedom we have to select those persons who will serve us. Bless this gathering. May it serve to allow us the opportunity to be a part of that ongoing journey to have justice, equality, and freedom for all. In the name of our Lord, amen.
Amen. Please be seated. I was trying to come up with a joke for attorneys, but our former mayor, Dr. Holly, didn't leave his bromines, if you know, so unfortunately you stuck with me tonight. In the interest of time, we're going to try to be formal but yet informal. Please excuse the glasses, but I'm at that point where I need them. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce the members of the Executive Board for the Portsmouth Democratic Committee. I'm the chair, Frankie Edmondson. Our first vice chair is Paige D. Cherry. Our second vice chair is Lisa Lucas Burke. Recording secretary is Yvette Watkins Cherry. Treasurer is Curtis Gunn. Vice chair for finance is Lee Cherry. The chaplain is Pastor Joe B. Fleming. Sergeant at Arms is Teresa Gunn. And our immediate past chair is the Honorable Cynthia P. Morrison. I'll ask those members of our executive board to please stand and let's be recognized. Thank you. Okay, in addition to that, we have several members of our Portsmouth Democratic Committee here with us tonight. I'll ask each committee member to please stand at your seat. I do see some elected Democrats here. I know Sheriff Watson is in the back there. Before we get going, I want to call individuals by name. It's a tough job up here to do that, but I want to thank you, Sheriff, for being with us also. The Portsmouth Democratic Committee meets on the first Thursday of each month. Excuse me, tonight is different because we had a holiday last week, so we didn't meet on the first, but we normally meet on the first Thursday of each month. It's at 6 o'clock p.m. We do have a website, and if you are interested in joining, the membership is open to the citizens of Portsmouth who ascribe to democratic principles. So you are welcome if you're so inclined. Please see us after the meeting. Now, why are we here? We're here for a forum. We want to be very respectful of your time, so we want to get on with the program. We have met with each candidate, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank each of them for consenting to be with us tonight. They all have an interest in serving this community, and I want to thank them on behalf of the committee for your interest. Tonight we have with us Ms. Stephanie N. Morales. We have Mr. Michael C. Mike Rosenberg. And we have Ms. Allie T. Sprinkle. Okay. What I will do is read the format for tonight's program. It is not a debate, and it is not a lecture. It is a candidate forum, and it is an opportunity for us to present these candidates to you for your consideration for election. With that, I will go over some ground rules. At this point in time, I'd like to introduce to you again our treasurer, Mr. Curtis Gunn, who will serve tonight as the timekeeper. Can every candidate see Mr. Gunn? Wave your hand, Mr. Gunn. Give me a light. You got a light for them to shine, and we work the format out together. So the forum will last a maximum of 1.5 hours. Each candidate will have 3 minutes to introduce themselves and make opening remarks. Each candidate will have 2 minutes each to answer questions posed to them. Those in attendance will be provided with index cards to write their questions and present them to the moderator. The Portsmouth Democratic Committee moderator will pose the first set of questions as follows, which we have. Those submitting questions from the floor will do so on index cards to be collected and handed to the moderator by members of the executive committee. The moderator will determine which question will be proposed to either or each candidate. At the end of 1.5 hours, or if there is no more questions, whichever is sooner, each candidate will be given 2 minutes to make closing remarks. The forum will end at a motion for members in good standing to stay for a monthly business meeting of the Portsmouth Democratic Committee will be made at that time. There will be a 5 to 10 minute recess for the chambers to clear, with the exception of those individuals who intend to stay for the Portsmouth Democratic Committee monthly meeting, as we do have a business meeting following the forum. In closed session, we will consider several options at that time. Candidates, are you ready? Okay, at this time, I'd like to welcome our first vice chair to the podium, and he will introduce local elected officials.
I told him to do that.
I'm getting some water, sir.
I asked him to do that. He's the chair, so I guess I'll do what he says. First, I recognize we have our Senator Eloise Lucas. Our Clerk of the Circuit Court, Cynthia B. Morrison. We have our Mayor, Kenneth I. Wright. Our new Vice Mayor, Elizabeth Simmons. Councilman Danny Meeks. And newly elected council member Mark Whitaker, Dr. Mark Whitaker. School board member Ms. Costello Williams. And Sheriff Bill Watson.
And the best commissioner around the state.
Sarah Duncan Hines. Love that name. Did I miss anyone? Okay, I'm going to say it just like he told me. The best commissioner of revenue in the state of Virginia. Frank Davis. Thank
You're making me earn my money up here tonight. Thank you very much, and welcome all. Okay, candidates, are you ready? We're going to try to go through the first question. We're going to go through a script, and then we're going to try to round robin as best we can. And if we get off script a little bit, please tell me. This is informal, but yet informal, and we're here to, like we said before, to try to give the best possible life for the candidates. So move on with your questions. First question. Oh, excuse me, introductions, I'm sorry. I'd like to begin with Ms. Morales for a 3-minute introduction.
Good evening to everyone. As you know, my name is Stephanie Morales. I'm running for Commonwealth's attorney, very obviously. I want to take a few moments to introduce myself to you. I think one of the most important parts of this election is that you know who the person is who you are electing to this office. And so I want to give you a bit of insight into the person who I am and the things that are important to me. I am a native of this fine city, Portsmouth, Virginia. I was born here. I was raised in the neighborhood of Truxton. I am a graduate of I.C. Northam High School, of Norfolk State University, and of the College of William and Mary School of Law. Throughout my entire time at the College of William and Mary School of Law, I was still dedicated to this fine city of Portsmouth, Virginia. I spent the entire time interning every year here at the Commonwealth Attorney's Office in the city of Portsmouth. I found it very important from an early age to be a part of the legal justice system. I decided at 6 years old, after attending school with my mother just to observe, that I wanted to be an attorney. I volunteered here every year in law school. I even prosecuted my first jury trial before I even graduated from law school here in the city of Portsmouth. And so it's always been a very important place to me, and the prosecutor's office has always been a very important place to me as well. Also, my family is here in part tonight. My husband, Louis Morales, and my 2 sons, Louis and Paul. We also have 2 daughters. And so not only am I a prosecutor in the city, but I have a vested interest in the success of the city and in the Commonwealth Attorney's Office, because I have 4 children who live here. I have a husband and a family, and we have a business in this city. And so it's imperative that every part of the government of this city is governed well and is in full functioning order. I will tell you that my mission for this city, I don't have a slogan, but instead I have a mission, is that we achieve community protection and crime prevention by smart prosecution. I plan to focus on community protection by fair and diligent prosecution. My goal is justice and fairness for all. I plan for us to achieve crime prevention by focusing on building relationships with other agencies, by focusing on reaching out to those who have changed their lives for the better to stop recidivism. And what I call smart prosecution is that we engage the future of our city, our youth. Just because this is the office of the Commonwealth Attorney does not mean that we don't care about what happens with our youth. We need to engage them because they are the future of our criminal justice system, and we want them to see themselves in this light. We don't want our first encounter with our youth to be in the court system for a curfew violation. We need for them to begin to see themselves in the light that we need to see them. So again, I want you to know the person who I am, someone who has always been dedicated to the needs of this city, and I want you to know what I'm about, and that is community protection and crime prevention by smart prosecution. Thank you.
Ms. Stephanie Morales, as an interest of fairness, can everyone hear? Or if you're in the microphone, you may want to adjust that accordingly. Okay, thank you. How about the light? Is everything working properly? Okay, Mr. Mike Rosenberg.
Good evening. Some of you I know, some of you I don't know. My name is Mike Rosenberg. I've been practicing law in this city for a little bit over 28 years. For about 25 of them, many people have hired me. And when a person sits across the desk from me and I'm trying to get them to hire me, quite often they want to know about my background. So let me tell you a little bit. After finishing the law school at the University of Richmond in May of '86, I took the bar, I passed it. I ended up here as a public defender for 3 years. In that 3 years alone, I've tried 90 criminal jury cases, as well as who knows how many non-jury cases. Since then, I've been in private practice. For the last 20 years, I've run my own office, either as a sole practitioner or with Barrett Richardson and the firm of Richardson and Rosenberg. We also added an office in Suffolk a few years ago. I have managed an office. I have tried cases, all the way from traffic infractions to cases in which the death penalty has been sought on the civil side, because the Commonwealth Attorney has civil responsibilities as well. It's not just all about prosecution. civil side, I've represented persons involved in cases involving wrongful death, serious personal injury, and for over 20 years I've served as guardian ad litem at the Juvenile Domestic Relations District Courts and the Circuit Court for children that are involved in various custody, visitation, and parental removal issues. The core mission of the Commonwealth Attorney's Office, and I've got to disagree with Ms. Morales, is the preparation, prosecution, and investigation of criminal offenses and some sorts of civil issues. I've been doing this a long time. And part of the reason why I'm doing it after 28 years is there's nothing more competitive than trying criminal cases. Because we're not talking about money here, we're talking about people's lives. And when you do something competitive, whether it's sports, trying cases, anything that is competitive, you always say to yourself, gee, if I were playing defense, if I were the prosecutor, whatever, what would I do? I seek that opportunity. I can look at a case, I can tell what's wrong with it. I can't always fix it because justice comes first. There have been some issues in this city as of late about the qualifications of various appointees of various governmental agencies or entities, if you will. You're going to hire me, or Ms. Morales, or Ms. Sprinkle. If your hire is good, it's great. If your hire does not do the job that you think they should do, you as the voters have no one else to blame. I stand on my experience. I stand on my management skills. I am an open book, and I look forward to answering your questions. Thank you.
Ms. Allie T. Sprinkle.
Thank you. Good evening. First of all, thank you very much for coming out today. My name is Allie Sprinkle, and I am here tonight asking for your vote to be the next Portsmouth Commonwealth Attorney. To tell you a little bit about myself, I was born and raised here in Portsmouth. I grew up in Park Manor and Green Lakes. I currently live in Churchland. After high school, I went to the University of Virginia. Then I went on to law school at Nova Southeastern University in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. One of the things that brought me to that school was that they have clinical internships their last semester of their law school, and one of the places where you could come back and do your clinical internship was at the United States Attorney's Office here in Norfolk, Virginia. So I knew I could go to law school and come back home because that was always my plan. This is my hometown, and I was always going to live here, work here, and make my life here. I spent my last semester of law school at the United States Attorney's Office in the city of Norfolk, and that sparked my passion for prosecution. I had always had a passion for law. My father, Wayne Sprinkle, has practiced for probably almost 40 years, so I've always been involved in the law and the government, especially here in the city of Portsmouth. As soon as I graduated from law school, I immediately took the bar exam. I took the July 2001 bar exam, passed that, and immediately started working for Judge Motley when he began working as the Portsmouth Commonwealth Attorney. I was there for over 4 years. I was thrown right into things there, and I was trying cases within the first week or two that I was there. I was there over 4 years. From the time I left there, I was trying everything from simple misdemeanors to the most violent felonies. I did leave the Portsmouth Commonwealth's Attorney. I loved it, but I wanted to have the experience of practicing with my father and the experience of being on the other side, doing criminal defense, and also practicing other types of law. And I'm really glad I did it because I believe that this position requires you to have an overall experience, including being a prosecutor as well as being a defense attorney. As Mr. Rosenberg pointed out, the point of that office is to prosecute, put together, prepare, prosecute the criminal cases here in the city of Portsmouth. There's no better way to know and be prepared for a case than to know and be able to think like the other side. I've been prosecutor, I've been defense attorney, and when I went into practice with my dad, that was after I'd been at the Commonwealth Attorney for about 4.5 years. I got there, he was sick of doing the management part of the office, so I took that over in my office. So I also had the experience of running an office, which is a huge part of the Commonwealth to have firm but fair prosecution. I want to treat every case differently because every case is different. I want to be able to evaluate each case based on the person, based on the individual facts of that case. I have the experience in all areas. Thank you very much.
Okay, on to the questions. Mr. Rosenberg,
Sir.
we'll start with you, please. Why do you want to be Commonwealth's attorney, and what are your goals if elected?
Well, I think I addressed why I want to be Commonwealth's attorney.
Microphone on. Put the microphone on.
I think I already addressed why I want to be the Commonwealth attorney. My goals are simple. My goals are for prosecution in the city to be efficient. There are a lot of people in this city.
Excuse me, Mr. Rosenberg, apparently they can't hear, is that correct? Can you please use the mic?
I was,
It's okay.
There we go. Okay. Sorry.
may I continue?
Yes, sir.
In running a large office, we cannot make everything fit one size. This is not a factory for any of you who've done factory work. The citizens of this city deserve a Commonwealth's attorney's office that will accommodate them. If I become the Commonwealth's attorney, one example is I want to keep the office open one night a week till 7 o'clock so that people who go to work, go to school, have to take care of children, have to take care of elderly people, they can come and talk to their prosecutor. I can't bring night court. I can have people be accommodated. Another issue in this city is repeat offenders. For a small city, we have an awful lot of people that seem to commit an awful lot of crimes. If you elect me as your Commonwealth attorney, I'll work 24/7, 365. My kids are older. I've got the time. My staff will find the time, or they will make the time. Those of us that are lawyers, either criminal defense lawyers or prosecutors, know what a Category 1 offender is. If a person is arrested for anything, and they are a Category 1 offender, I'm going to ask Chief Hargis to have the police notify the on-call prosecutor whenever. And someone's getting out of bed, and someone's going to go down, and someone's going to try and get that person held by the magistrate. Lest anyone think that I'm coming in here and saying everybody is bad, everybody needs to be locked up. I've been trying to stop people from getting locked up for quite a while, and it'll be a change. If you come home and you do the right thing, I'm your best friend in the world. I'll do anything for you. I'll even loan you my car if you've got a license. But if you come home and you want to persist in this criminal conduct, you're going to have a problem.
Okay, thank you.
I agree with Mr. Rosenberg. I feel as though I did address the reason I want to be a Commonwealth attorney, but I'll go back to that just briefly. I want to go back to where I began my career, and I know that I have the opportunity to continue to help my city. I've always been dedicated to my career, and with the opportunity that I have now, that Judge Motley being appointed as a judge, I want to go with the experience I have and run an efficient office at the Commonwealth Attorney. My goals with the Commonwealth Attorney's Office, one thing I would have to agree with Mr. Rosenberg is that violent criminals will not be tolerated by my office. Those are the type of people that we need to keep off the street to keep this community safe. Again, I will evaluate every case, every individual fact, every individual defendant. However, if you're a violent felon, you're a repeat violent offender, then my office is not going to show much mercy. My goal would be to get out more in the community and build better relationships, I think, with the police department. I have a very good relationship with the police department, sheriff's department, and with all of us working together to make the office safer, I think that would be great for our community. There are relationships now, but I would like to, one of my main things is to work with the police department, with the Commonwealth attorneys being involved in the training. And that includes when there's new cases, new statutes, things of that nature. I would like to get that to the police officers so they can better do their jobs when they're out on the street. Thank you.
Ms. Morales, you need the question, or are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
I know exactly why I want to be Commonwealth's attorney.
I have a heart for this city, and I have a heart for justice. As I made it clear in my opening, I've spent my life here dedicated to this city. It is very important to me that there is someone in place who does not only care about this city and about being present in the community when there is an office available, but I am someone who has had a presence in this community, who has volunteered with you, who has invited you to shadow me at work when there is nothing in it for me, but to see this community succeed. That is the exact reason why I want to be the Commonwealth Attorney, because I'm someone who knows what the needs of this community are. I'm someone who knows the people within this community. I'm someone who cares that we have a functioning office that is in place specifically to make sure that this community is safer, but also not just to ensure that we diligently prosecute, which we must do, but to ensure that we look forward and we do what is needed in order to make sure that we continue on the right path. So my reasons are, it's very simple. It's in my heart. It's because I care about this community, because my children are in this community, my family is here in this community, and it's extremely important and imperative that we have someone who cares in that way. Now my goals, as I said before, you'll hear it a million times because my mission and my vision does not change. My mission is to achieve community protection and crime prevention by smart prosecution. And I think I made it very clear, and I want to reiterate this. The number one job of the Commonwealth Attorney's Office is to prosecute. That is no secret, and that is nothing that I take lightly. I plan to go forward, to proceed with diligent prosecution, to ensure that the attorneys in the office are trained effectively and properly, and that they have a wonderful understanding of the fine city of this community and of the fine people of this community. I further wish to accomplish, as Commonwealth Attorney, building on our relationships with our agencies within the city.
Okay, thank you. Now, everybody stretch and breathe. It's okay. You got the first question down. So we're going to take this one moment. I see Delegate Johnny Joanna came in. He represents the 79th House District. He's also a member of our committee. Let's welcome him to the floor. Okay, I believe it's Ms. Sprinkle's turn for the first to respond first. And this question number 2 is, how many capital cases have you been involved in, either as a prosecutor or defense attorney, and what were the results handed down by the judge or jury?
As both a prosecutor and defense attorney, as a defense attorney, I have not been involved in any capital murder cases. I believe it's been since 2006 that I've been practicing in defense work. I believe I've had attempted capital murder charges, which of course were often involves people who are trying to harm our police officers. I do not recall what the result of those cases were. And when I was a prosecutor, I do not believe I was involved in any capital murder cases. I know there were a few, maybe a couple. Probably there was only a very small number when I was in the prosecutor's office, but I was not involved in capital murder cases. I was involved in attempted capital murders. Again, those were cases where people were trying to harm police officers. And I don't want to misspeak and tell you what the result was because I cannot remember what the results were, but I was involved in several of those types of things where police officers were harmed. I know one I had that was, I don't know if it was charged as an attempted capital murder because it involved a police officer, but there was a jury conviction. This is when I was a prosecutor for malicious wounding of a police officer. That's one specific case I can think of and recall. But I have not been involved in any capital murder cases, either as a prosecutor or as a defense attorney.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Morales, you need a question?
No.
Okay.
Many of us in this room are attorneys, many of us are not. And so for those of us who are not, I will tell you that capital murder cases involve a few things. They involve that there be a crime committed willfully, deliberately, and with premeditation. Certain murders rise to the level of capital murder, murders of children, murders of law enforcement, murders committed within the course of a robbery. These are the most serious type of crimes that we can possibly get. And I can tell you that I'm pleased that in the city of Portsmouth, I have not been involved in a capital murder case, because that means that we don't have any capital murder cases going at this time. And I can also tell you my knowledge about the happenings in our Commonwealth Attorney's Office, as having been around the office as an intern and as an attorney, and even having been in private practice prior to coming to the office and just keeping up with the happenings of the city of Portsmouth. Throughout the time that Earl Mobley was in office, over that 14-year period, there were no capital murder cases that went to verdict. I believe that there was a young man who was charged with capital murder, but that pled out. And so I'm pleased with that fact that we have not had any capital murder cases for anyone to be a part of. But I will tell you what we do have. We have a plethora of different felony types of crimes. We have a plethora of misdemeanor crimes. And I've been a part of many different types of prosecutions before leaving law school, and both as an attorney. But my focus is not on the number of cases or the number of anything, because I don't see people as a number or as a statistic. Each and every individual case has a victim, a defendant, and witnesses, and these are all people and citizens within the city of Portsmouth. And so what I've always done is make sure that I've paid a very special attention to each particular case, to make sure there's fairness, and to make sure that justice is served and not focused on numbers. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Rosenberg?
I wish I could answer this question, no. I see some people in this room that have defended death penalty cases and prosecuted. I wish I could answer that question, no. I see some people in this courtroom that have defended or prosecuted death penalty cases. It's not something that anybody would want to repeat, at least among me. My responsive answer to Mr. Edmondson's question is, I have defended 2 cases at trial in which death penalty was sought. One was the Vickers case, which was tried right after Judge Mobley became the Commonwealth attorney. The late Jay Underwood and I represented Vickers. He was found guilty of capital murder. The jury did not sentence him to death, and he was sentenced to life without parole. The second one was the Kearney case, which was back in Suffolk a number of years ago. The late Bill Brown and I represented Mr. Kearney. He was charged with murdering 2 people. He was acquitted of one, convicted of another. The jury gave him a life sentence for first-degree murder, which was reversed. On retrial, another attorney, not Mr. Brown and I, represented Mr. Kearney. He's serving a life sentence, last I heard, at Wallen's Ridge. I've also been involved in 2 capital murder cases in which the death penalty was sought. One many, many years ago, when then Commonwealth Attorney Johnny Morrison was prosecuting it, and that resulted in the defendant receiving a life sentence for first-degree murder. And another one about, 6, 8 years ago in Southampton County, where Darrell Sayer and I represented a Mexican immigrant. We ended up having to go down to Mexico to investigate the case, and that also resulted in a plea of guilty, and he's serving life plus whatever. I have defended a number of capital murder cases in which the death penalty was not sought. I've defended a number of murder cases, period. I wish I never did. I wish I never had to again. But if it comes up, I've been there, and I've done that, and I know what I'm doing.
Okay. I believe this question is to you, Ms. Morales. Is that right?
Yes.
Off the road.
Yes.
We modified just a bit because it does go to the last question. We're trying to get this point across the questioner. We've taken those 2 questions were posed by the committee, and we're now into committee questions that are posed from the audience. Could each candidate discuss their personal experience handling violent crime cases, especially gun violence?
Personally, I've handled a number of different violent crimes. The majority of the violent crimes that we see are misdemeanors. There are people who are violent on a regular basis. Some of the most serious ones are against family members. I prosecute, for the most part, crimes against minors, crimes against and committed by family members, and those are some of the most concerning things. If you look at the facts and the statistics, oftentimes when people are seriously wounded, injured, and die, it's at the hands of someone who they know. I've also handled a variety of crimes involving guns, robberies, I don't want to get into the specific facts because, again, I take it very seriously that we are dealing with people here. We're not dealing with numbers, and we're not dealing with mysterious figures. These are victims and defendants, and they all are people, and they deserve their dignity. So while I will not get into the specific facts, I will say that ever since 2007, when I was an intern in this city, I've been handling matters, some of which have been involving crimes of violence. And I know how to prosecute cases. There are certain elements which have to be met. I've never had any issue or any problem looking at the elements of crimes, taking the facts into considerations. And again, before coming back to the Commonwealth Attorney's Office to practice as a prosecutor, I was in private practice in multiple jurisdictions across the state of Virginia, where I handled a variety of different cases as a defense attorney. So it's never been a difficult issue for me to prosecute cases, but there's so much more to prosecution than looking at the different types of crimes that we prosecute and how to prove them. It also has to be about having a heart for justice and ensuring that the right thing is going to take place for everyone who is affected by this, and that all victims, witnesses, and defendants are treated with respect in each and every process, in each and every encounter with the Commonwealth Attorney's Office and them. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Rosenberg?
We'll try and get this thing to work. There's a song called Against the Wind. There's a line in it where the Bob Seger says, "Wish I didn't know now what I didn't know then." And after 28 years, I've probably tried 150 jury trials, thousands of other things. I challenged some people to come up with a crime I had not defended, and I think someone said possession of a forged lottery ticket, and I wasn't sure, and I'd never done that. I have seen things that I wish I didn't see. Rape, murder, robbery, just unspeakable things, things that I'll take to my grave. People that can't walk anymore, people that can't see anymore, people that can't breathe anymore. I know more about guns than I ever wanted to know. I am the worst shot you've ever seen. I'm better off throwing the gun at the target, but I know a whole lot about how a gun works from defending gun murders. I wish I didn't know what I didn't know then, but I've been doing this for 28 years. I want to do something different. I see what can be done, what can't be done. I know what the people of the city deserve. Nobody deserves to be the victim of violence. But then again, nobody deserves to be prosecuted for something that they did not commit, or prosecuted for something where the full and fair information is not provided to the defendant. It's your hire, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Going back to when I first started my career, I was still in law school, and I was at the U.S. Attorney's Office finishing my last semester of law school. I actually stayed on there longer than my clinic lasted. I stayed there. They allowed me to stay there because I was working on a case that actually arose out of Portsmouth, a drug conspiracy case. Unfortunately, that case, and if you know, in the federal court, drug conspiracy cases, you can bring in a lot of other evidence, and unfortunately, that case involved multiple murders, multiple guns, and multiple other violent crimes. So that was my first experience in the prosecution world. Involved a case that involved a lot of violence. Unfortunately, Portsmouth does have a drug problem. Many of our crimes arise because of that drug problem, whether it's a larceny, whether it's a robbery, whether drug distribution that's related to people having guns. And I've been a part of all of those types of cases when I was in the prosecutor's office, as well as defending cases. I have prosecuted and defended aggravated malicious woundings, unlawful woundings, maliciously shooting into vehicles, maliciously shooting into homes. Unfortunately, like Mr. Rosenberg said, I wish I have not been involved in those types of cases, but I have. Again, both in prosecuting them as well as defending people. I'd like to get back to prosecuting those crimes, and I've also been involved in, as Ms. Morales indicated, there are violent crimes that are misdemeanors. I spent a lot of time in the juvenile court as well when I was at the prosecutor's office, and that is where a lot of violence begins as well. So I've been involved in all of those cases, which gives me the all-around experience to be your candidate.
Okay, great. Next question. Is this for you, Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes, sir.
You're the first one, okay? What plans do you have for crime prevention?
My plans for crime prevention will be partnering with other agencies. I have a very good relationship with probation and parole. I hope to assign one assistant Commonwealth attorney as a liaison to the Department of Probation and Parole, so when people are in our community and they're starting to have problems, we can hopefully squash that. Cooperation with the police is going to be huge. As Ms. Sprinkle said, I was told that the Commonwealth attorney no longer does legal updates for the police. Many years ago they did it on video. If it's something where legal updates need to be done at the early roll call or the late roll call because patrol officers work 12-hour shifts, someone's getting up early or someone's going to work a little bit late. And if it has to be me, that's fine because I can lead by example. Basically, there are an awful lot of problems that drive crime. And better minds than many have tried to stop it with no solution. Commonwealth's Attorney's Office, if I am elected, will stick to its core mission. Be efficiently run, efficiently managed. We will partner with the schools. We will partner with all public safety, not just the police and sheriff's department. And we want the people to know we're going to be there for them 24/7 because a lot of bad things happen after 5 o'clock and after business hours on the weekend. That's what I'm going to do.
Ms. Sprinkle, same question.
I would have to agree with a lot of things Mr. Rosenberg said. Of course, you want to partner with some of the agencies in the city, police department, obviously, as well as the sheriff's department, probation department, and even other agencies. One thing that I've learned since I began this path, I've been to several civic leagues. In each and every civic league, the community, the people are there, and the people are there, and they're talking about the problems that they're having in their community. That would be a big goal of mine, was to get my office out into the community, because those are the people who can tell you exactly what is going on in their community. Of course, they have neighborhood officers and things of that nature. The civic league I was at the other night, their neighborhood officer was there. So having a representative from the Commonwealth attorney at the civic leagues, I think, will let the community know we do care, we are there. That would be something obviously after hours, most of those are at night, and that we are going to listen to what they have to say. And those are the people, these citizens, y'all are the eyes and ears of what is going on in your community. So if the Commonwealth attorney is not involved with the community, then we don't know exactly what's going on out there. So that would be a big goal of mine, and based on the civic leagues I've been to, I mean, it's invaluable to get out there and talk to the community and see what's going on in their community so you know how to properly prosecute a crime.
Okay, Ms. Morales?
When we talk about crime prevention, I could go on all night, but I won't because I'm limited to 2 minutes. But what I will do is I will point to my behavior. I will tell you that you can look at what I have done as an example of what will happen in terms of crime prevention efforts. The entire time I've been at the Commonwealth Attorney's Office, I've been dedicated to being involved with the drug court treatment program. What we do is to use the programs that we have in place and expand the things that we have in place to ensure that we work on these efforts together. The drug court treatment program helps individuals who have drug problems to get back on their feet, to get them jobs, to have them to become functioning members of society. The best way to prevent crime is, one, to stop recidivism. If we stop the recidivism, that's a major part of preventing crime. After we get more involved, I would like to have the entire office to be involved in that part of the drug court treatment program to show people that have had issues that we are there for them. Another thing that we can do is be involved with reentry initiatives. I've attended reentry meetings given by the Department of Probation and Parole, and there you find all the agencies within the city of Portsmouth. You have members from social services, you have Portsmouth behavioral health care services, which impact mental health issues. You have a variety of different agencies in one place who will pool resources and work together to help citizens. And finally, focusing on the youth. I had the opportunity to sit on a panel at my alma mater, IC Northam High School today. And we talked about a number of things with the youth in the building. One of the things that came up is that the police department has an Explorer program. The juveniles get to participate in the legal justice system. They get to participate with the police. I say we expand that and let them participate with the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. Why not reach forward and bring our youth into the fold so that our future is bright when it comes to people with our juveniles? Instead of having them to come in on the negative side, we bring them in and we prevent the crime from happening in the first place.
To finish that round of questioning, and we'll move on to Ms. Allie Sprinkle for this question from the audience. What initiatives will you put in place for juvenile offenders or adult offenders to create a sense of re-entry into the community?
Well, most people don't know the Juvenile and Domestic Relations Court, when it deals with juveniles, that system is in itself set up to help rehabilitate juveniles, which I think is an appropriate path for most juveniles, especially if it's their first brush with the law. Your goal, oftentimes even your prosecution goals are different when you're in the juvenile system, because we are hoping to stop the juveniles there from getting into trouble. You want to stop them, help rehabilitate them before they become unproductive citizens that are out committing crime. So the juvenile court in and of itself has multiple resources for helping juveniles. And of course the probation department, they have several programs that help people with regards to getting back into the community. Portsmouth Behavioral Health Care has many programs. The drug court program, as Ms. Morales mentioned, is an excellent program. I was drug court prosecutor when I was at the Commonwealth's attorney under Mr. Nobley, and they have a multitude of programs that they would help people get into. But normally you'd probably work with your probation department, and I would do that. And also there are programs out in the community, and one night when I was out at sick leave, I met an individual who was the head of a program. And so there are people, there's many churches that have programs to help people re-enter society without continuing to be a problem in the community.
Okay, Ms. Morales?
Again, I point to my prior conduct. There are numerous agencies which get together to do great things, and one of the things that I think is absolutely wonderful in terms of reentry is felon rights restoration. And that's something that I've been a part of, and I would like to expand that even further within the office. Felons come out, if they've done their time, if they've paid their fines, if they've complied with probation and parole, getting their civic rights restored so that they can vote, so that they can hold public office if they want to, is something that really creates a sense in them that the community is behind them coming back within the community and being productive members of society. So I say that's one of the things that we expand is felon rights restoration. The Department of Probation and Parole has a very serious reentry program. They have numerous plans in place to help reintroduce citizens into society. And so why reinvent the wheel? If something is in place and it's working, just be involved. Again, I've attended reentry council meetings. I've partnered up with all the different agencies within the city at these meetings and spoken with them about what we can do to partner together. So one of the main things that I want to do and that I plan to do is to expand the felon rights restoration, to stay in tune with the community, because at Civic Leagues, not only do you find people who are productive members of society who always have been, but you find people who have maybe struggled. And I will tell those of you who do not know about the function of the Commonwealth Attorney's Office currently, that we do have prosecutors who attend these Civic League meetings. And so just like there's a neighborhood resource officer at these Civic League meetings, there's also a Commonwealth's attorney there. And I have two that I have attended over the years, where my people know me and they call me on a daily basis or a weekly basis in my office if they need me. And that is one thing that I plan to keep in place, and to even expand a little bit further so that we have community prosecution, and so that people are constantly in touch with us. And there are people who have had a little bit of struggles, but who have paid their debt to society, and they've done all that they're supposed to do, that we stand behind them when they try to get back and become productive members of society. Thank you.
In the interest of fairness, we are getting some questions, so if we could please try to hold our applause. Each candidate We're going to be running out of time shortly because we're going to conclude at 7:30. So we do have several questions. If you'd like to pose a question that you haven't heard, maybe not coming up, members of our executive committee will be around and we'll be there. But let's please be mindful of the time. It's going to run short quickly, so we want to hear from these good candidates. Next respondent.
I'm new at this, and you're not supposed to agree with anything that one of your opponents say. I agree totally with what Mrs. Morales said with regard to felon rights restoration. I don't believe that people should automatically get their rights back, but I think that once a person qualifies, we should do whatever we can to get it back. I'm going to give a responsive answer to the question. The question was about reentry. I take reentry, I define it as somebody getting out of jail, someone getting out of the Department of Juvenile Justice, someone getting out of the Department of Corrections. Anybody who knows me knows I have a teensy-weensy bit of a temper, and if they want to see it become a little more than a teensy-weensy bit of a temper, say to me, it's not my job. Well, I'm going to say it's not my job. The Department of Corrections, the local probation office, which is Community Corrections or CCP, and the Department of Juvenile Justice are the primary agencies dealing with reentering felons and misdemeanors. If I am elected as the Commonwealth Attorney, my staff and I will do anything we can to help a reentering citizen unless they've got a problem involving criminal behavior. It's the right thing to do, and it's what I'll do.
Okay, thank you very much. Next respondent?
That's it.
Good. Okay. Thank you. The next question for all three candidates. The election is barely a month away, and you all presently have a full-time practice or job. Do you plan to take leave from your job, or have you taken leave from your job in order to campaign for this position? We're going to start with Ms. Morales.
I currently am working for the most part on a full-time basis, but when it's necessary, I do take leave from my job. I take it very seriously that I work for the citizens of Portsmouth currently. And anything that is necessary to be done for my campaign, which is very important, as I am seeking this office because I feel I'm the best person for the job. But getting back to the subject, what I will not do is campaign on Commonwealth's time or on citizens' dime. Therefore, when it is necessary for me to do something, I will take leave. That being said, I have not had to, fortunately, take leave on any times where I currently had cases scheduled. So I have been able to function in my job effectively and prosecute matters diligently without having to interfere with that when I take leave. But when I do have free time, and normally I stay ahead of my work, so oftentimes I do have the ability to take leave to attend to matters which are important to me. For example, today, I was invited to sit on the panel at IC Norcom High School on a program which focused on police interactions with youth and helping them to understand how they can effectively communicate and respond in a situation where they're stopped by police, and some of the things that run through the mind of law enforcement. I was able to take leave today and sit on that panel at my alma mater and do something that was very important to me, which was not necessarily for this campaign, but was for the youth of the city of Portsmouth. I was able to do that because I do have leave. And many of us who have jobs are fortunate to have leave to do things that are important to us. Thank you.
Okay, next respondent.
I wish I could, but I work for myself. If I don't work, my staff doesn't get paid, my children don't eat, taxman doesn't get paid, nothing like that. We have some wonderful judges in this great Commonwealth, Virginia. Thank you very much, Senator Lucas. But none of them are going to continue my cases just so I can run around campaigning. I wish I could, but I am running a busy law practice. Today I was in courts in three different courts in 2 different cities. That's what nights are for. That's what weekends are for. And if anybody wonders why they don't see me around the week before the election, it's because I'm going to be in a murder trial out in Southampton County. That's what I do. I'm not afraid to work. It's all I've done since I've been 25, and I'd be happy to come work for you. But they're going to come after me if I don't keep working and I don't pay my bills. That's what managing a business, and that's what running a business, and that's what having a family is all about.
Okay, Ms. Sprinkle?
I'm in the same predicament Mr. Rosenberg is in. I do work for myself. Fortunately, my father is in practice with me. We share a law firm. However, we do separate cases, so I still have plenty of cases. I actually have 2 jury trials scheduled for January, and again, no judge is going to continue my case so that I can go out and campaign, which of course they shouldn't do. Days that I went through my schedule when we found out about this in such a quick manner, and I was able to block off times at lunch, ask my secretaries to please not set any appointments or anything of that nature during those times, but hopefully maybe then I can try and reach out to citizens. But I have not taken any time off. I was in Chesapeake courts today. Again, I have 2 jury trials scheduled, and that's part of what I've tried to say to the citizens before, is that I'm dedicated to my career as a prosecutor. I would be, as a Commonwealth attorney, I would be dedicated to that office, my employees, and my job, which would be protecting citizens. So that's why I would ask for your vote once again.
Okay, everybody's finished with their responses to that particular question. Thank you so much. Okay, Mr. Rosenberg. The city of Portsmouth is very diverse. Many of our defendants are African American. How diverse would your staff of attorneys be? Excuse me, staff and attorneys.
If you are qualified and you can do the job, I don't care if you're white, black, or if there were blue people, I'd hire them too. I can't promise you a particular percentage or who I would hire or what they would look like or anything like that. I will hire people that I believe are the best persons to do the job and people that can give the taxpayers of this city the best day's work.
Okay?
I would try my best to have the most diverse office possible, but again, as Mr. Rosenberg said, I'm doing this as well. Maybe you're not supposed to agree, but I 100% agree with him. The only qualification that you would have to work in my office is that you're qualified for the position and that you have the experience, that you're going to be the best staff member to help the prosecutors, that you're going to be the best prosecutor that you can be to help the citizens here in the city of Portsmouth. I've lived in Portsmouth my whole life, and it is a diverse city. I've been exposed to the diversity of the city. And speaking to some people the other day, they informed me that my law school was just voted one of the most diverse law schools, both in students as well as their staff. So I have tried to be immersed in as much diversity as possible. I would like my office to be diverse, but you have to be qualified to work in my office, both as a staff member as well as a prosecutor. Those are my only qualifications, is that you have the skill and experience to do well for the citizens of Portsmouth.
Thank you. The legal field is very diverse now. There are a plethora of races, ages, sexes within the legal industry, and yet our office is not very diverse. I would like to see an office that was reflective of what we have in this community. Only then will you have an office that truly understands the dynamic that's going on in the community, and you have representatives of every facet of the community. I think another way you address diversity and diversity issues within the office is that you have the office members to get out in the community and develop a love and understanding for the citizens within the community. And again, we have prosecutors who go to civic leagues on a regular basis. I see one of the prosecutors, Kara Cooper. I saw her at a civic league last night in Wilson Ward, and Elvira Johnson is here from Wilson Ward. She recognized Ms. Cooper for being present and being a presence in their civic league on a regular basis. And so when we have not only diversity within the office, but even when we can't achieve full diversity, when we have members of the office who care about the community and who understand the needs and the people of the community, then we have what we need within the office. We have an office who understands the needs and the people of the community. And so my goal is not only to achieve more diversity within the office, but to have prosecutors and staff within the office who understand the people of and the needs of the people within the community. Thank you.
Okay? Thank you, Mr. Rosenberg.
I think I was
You had
first.
that? You started with
I was just shooting.
Okay? Now, if you finish those final questions, along the same discussion, if we should have a situation such as Ferguson, Missouri, or Staten Island, New York, would you call in a special prosecutor? First question, this question goes first to Ms. Sprinkle.
I'm sorry, the question was, would you call in a special prosecutor?
If we should have a situation such as Ferguson, Missouri, or Staten Island, New York, would you call in a special prosecutor?
Well, first of all, to me, every case and every scenario is different. I do not know all the facts from Ferguson or Staten Island. However, if there is a situation here in the city of Portsmouth, I'm not going to ask for a special prosecutor unless I have some sort of conflict. And the fact that there's controversy or that it involves a police officer or something of that nature is not going to lead me to ask for a special prosecutor. You know, many people have asked me when I explain to them what this job entails, they say, why in the world do you want this job? Because it is hard, and part of the goals of this job is to prosecute everyone to the best of your ability, with regardless of the consequences to you personally, professionally, or politically. Every case is different. I will look at the facts of every case, and I have no problem prosecuting. Instead of sending it to a special prosecutor, I have no problem charging and prosecuting anyone, whether or not they're a police officer, whether or not they're any particular race, gender, ethnicity. If you've committed a crime in the city of Portsmouth, then my office is going to prosecute you unless there's some sort of conflict.
Okay, Mr. Rouse?
Thank you. I am familiar with the facts of the matters in Ferguson, Missouri, and Staten Island, New York. My response is absolutely not. There is no need to call in a special prosecutor when there is no conflict. What creates conflict is when people sit on their hands and do not do their duties as prosecutors in making a determination about whether indictments will be brought or not based upon what is appropriate and whether or not there is probable cause. As a prosecutor now, I evaluate cases on a daily basis, determining whether or not there is probable cause and determining whether or not the elements of each case is met. And in making those determinations, it's very clear most times whether or not an indictment should or should not be brought. And if there is no conflict, which I would submit in those particular situations as far as I know at the outset before any controversy presented itself, there was no conflict. And so in those matters where there is no conflict, absolutely not. We do not bring in other people to clean up the mess or to do the dirty work for us just because the situation is unpleasant. As the chief law enforcement officer of the city, at times you have to stand and do what you think is appropriate and correct. And so just because a situation would make me uncomfortable does not mean that I would seek outside assistance from a special prosecutor. Thank you.
Mr. Rosenberg?
No. And I agree with both of these ladies. If you elect me, you're going to be paying me a lot of money. You're going to be paying me to make difficult decisions. I'm going to decide things based on the facts and the law, what I can prove and what I can't prove. If anybody is afraid to make a decision that's going to make somebody unhappy, this is not the job for them, and I applaud my opponents and I agree with them. No.
Okay, the time is 10 minutes after 7. We're coming down to the home stretch. I have 2 questions left, and we have the closing statements by each candidate. So if you do have a particular question you haven't heard from yet or heard an answer on yet, I invite you to seek out a member of our executive committee and get that question posed. In the interest of time, we are going to move forward, however, while we're doing that, in hopes that we can all be done by 7:30. Ms. Morales, this question is to each candidate. We're going to start with you, please. Could each candidate state when they were admitted to the bar?
I was admitted to the bar in 2010.
Okay.
1986.
Ms. Sprinkle?
2001.
Okay, for each candidate, what are the top 3 actions? This will be started out by Mr. Rosenberg. For each candidate, what are the top 3 actions or activities you will take within the first 6 months of being in office?
1, I don't work in that office. I will have to learn the ropes of that office, evaluate the personnel, staff, and operating systems to see what we're dealing with. 2, I will request an audit of the office, not because I believe that anything improper has been going on under Mr. Mobley's or Mrs. Lester's administration, but I believe that we need to start off with a financial clean slate. 3, I'm going to have an awful lot of learning to do, but that's okay.
Okay, Ms. Sprinkle?
One of the first things I would like to do too is an audit as well. Again, not because anything's improper, but I do believe there should be a clean slate. I don't know everything either, but I do know how that office runs. I was in that office for over 4 years. So part of what I would want to work on when I first got there is talk to my staff members and my prosecutors about what their philosophy is. Unfortunately, as a criminal defense attorney, when you go to several different cities, you may see many prosecutors that their goal is simply to convict and win. That's not my philosophy. My philosophy is to be firm but fair. If you've committed a crime, you should be prosecuted. But each case, each defendant, each case has different facts. They should all be evaluated and not just want to win your case. As the Commonwealth attorney, not every case should be won. There are some cases that should not go to prosecution. And so I want to have a talk with the attorneys there about what their philosophy is and work on training some of the newer attorneys about things of that nature. I'd also, again, like to reach out to the police department, sheriff's department, and work on the collaboration of the office with training of the police officers. And so there's a very collaborative effort between those agencies. So those are some of the first things that I would do when I got into office. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rounds?
The question that was posed is, what are the first 3 things you will do upon going into office? And you will learn something about me tonight. That is that I will not tell you what you want to hear. The way that question was posed, and nothing against whoever posed that question because it's a wonderful question. But my philosophy is not to go in the office and pick out different things that need to be done one by one. My number 1 goal is to ensure that every attorney and every staff member in the office subscribes to my philosophy and my mission for this office and for this city. And that is to achieve the 3 things I told you, which are community protection, crime prevention, by smart prosecution. And the number 1 thing is to ensure that everyone is on board with those goals. And those goals are not going to take doing 3 things to turn it all around. Not that there's anything wrong with the way things were done before, but there are a lot of things that I plan to build on within the Office of the Commonwealth's Attorney. And it's going to take a lot more than 3 executive actions upon coming in office. But the first thing it's going to take is for me to understand and to know for certain that I have attorneys and staff members in the office who understand that there is a vision for this office and for this city, and that there will be a specified mission that everyone must subscribe to before they can remain on board in the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office. And you've heard so much from me tonight. It all comes from my heart, and I mean every word of it. When I talk about the different initiatives, building relationships with different agencies, bringing youth in, and fairly and diligently and with respect prosecuting cases. And so everyone on board must subscribe, and it's going to take a little bit more than 3 actions on my first day or week in office to achieve these goals. Thank you.
Okay, every respondent's had a chance to deal with that particular question. So let's give our candidates a big round of applause. Okay, we are now at the point of our program where we've gone through every question that's been posed. Are there any other questions? Okay, with that, we're going to take just a breath, and then we're going to go into our closing statements, which will be 2 minutes for each candidate. I would remind you that at the conclusion of that portion, we're going to bring the forum to a close, and immediately following that, the close of the forum, the members in good standing of the Portsmouth Democratic Committee, please stay in the council chambers for a brief business meeting. And at this particular time, we're going to give the candidates an opportunity to present themselves. But on behalf of the Portsmouth Democratic Committee, I would like to thank each and every one of you for being with us tonight. This is a good exercise in democracy and representative government. And I think you'll join me in knowing that we've got 3 fine candidates for this position. Let's give them another round of applause. Okay, Ms. Sprinkle. Closing the case. This is the end of the road, and we're going to say goodnight. Thank you.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. It's wonderful to see so many people here and the community involvement here in the city of Portsmouth. Again, my #1 goal is to become your next Commonwealth attorney and ask for you to come out and vote for me on February 10th, 2015. I think you've seen by the answers to my question as well as my background that I have the overall experience necessary to run this office. I too grew up here. My heart too is in the city of Portsmouth. My friends, my family are here. I care about this city. It's my hometown. And I love it, and I want it to be a safe community that everybody can want to live in, visit, work in. And without the proper Commonwealth attorney, having a safe community where people will want to come here and enjoy those types of things and enjoy their life, it won't work. Again, the goal of the Commonwealth attorney is to prosecute the crimes here in the city of Portsmouth. Without someone who can properly run an office with office management experience that I have, without someone who has no prosecutorial experience, and in my opinion, without someone who has not had experience on the other side to properly evaluate, to properly know how to charge cases, to properly know how to try any type of case, then that would not make a good Commonwealth attorney. I have all of the things that you need to make a proper Commonwealth attorney, and I would certainly ask for you to come out and vote for me on February 10th, 2015.
Okay, then, Ms. Morales.
Thank you. It's not going to be any surprise to you what I'm going to say to you right now, and that's I have a mission for the city of Portsmouth and for the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. You can look at my conduct and see that I've been a leader in this community. I've spent my efforts volunteering in this community, giving of myself. I've spent my efforts parenting my children. I place great pride in the young men that my sons are becoming and in the young ladies that my 2-year-old twin daughters are becoming. It is very important to me to know that there is someone in the Commonwealth Attorney's Office who cares about the needs of every citizen and who not just cares about prosecuting cases, but who cares about looking forward into the future for this city, thinking about the things that can be done to ensure that the crime is prevented in the first place. Having someone in place who understands the importance of the youth seeing themselves as the future of our criminal justice system. I see Erin Carter in the building tonight. She's a young lady who I met as a student at IC Norcom High School when I was volunteering and speaking at an honor roll assembly as a very young attorney myself. Erin is now volunteering on campaigns and making a difference in our city and in our legal justice system. What's going to happen if we don't foster the development of our youth? If we're going to see them on the wrong side of the law. We cannot have this. We need to pay attention to these things. We cannot simply dismiss other aspects of government simply because the Office of the Commonwealth Attorney is tasked first with prosecuting. And let me get it straight. I absolutely care about prosecuting cases and plan to ensure that all matters are diligently and fairly prosecuted. You don't have to have any surprises when it comes to me. You can look to the things that I've said and rest assured that my mission for this city is to achieve community protection and crime prevention by smart prosecution. I ask for your vote on February 10th. Thank you so much.
Okay, Mr. Rosenberg.
I'm used to standing up in front of a whole less than you, 12 people. So if I don't seem nervous, believe me, I am hiding it pretty good. This is serious stuff, ladies and gentlemen. This is people's lives. No disrespect to Mr. Edmondson, no disrespect to Sheriff Watson or the other constitutional officers, Mrs. Morrison. But the fact remains that the office of the Commonwealth Attorney is the chief law enforcement officer of this city. It has the most day-to-day effect on this city's citizens. This is people's lives, ladies and gentlemen. Good intentions go a long, long, long way. Cliches go a long, long, long way. But I was talking to my friend earlier today, and it's 24 degrees out, and he's got no heat in the house, and he called up a guy to fix the heater, and the first guy couldn't fix it. Good intentions don't get the job done. You've heard my experience. I'm not learning on you. I'm ready for another challenge. That challenge is working for you. Please support me on February 10th, 2015. My opponents are good people, nice ladies. We're fortunate to have them offer themselves as candidates. If I didn't think I was the best candidate for this position, I wouldn't be here. And I hope that you feel the same way. Thank you all for listening to us.
Okay, again, as chair of the Portsmouth Democratic Committee, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out tonight. This brings our forum to a close, and would like to announce that at about 7:35 or so, within the next 10 to 15 minutes, we will convene a meeting of the Portsmouth Democratic Committee in these chambers. But with that, I want to say to you that fortunately, as a citizen myself and a constitutional officer of this city and chair, of course, of the Democratic Committee, I'm indeed impressed with each and every candidate. I hope you are as well. I'm going to present them for one last time. Let's give them a big Portsmouth. Fellow citizens Stephanie Morales, Michael Rosenberg, and Alice Sprinkle. Thank you, and the forum is now closed.
An awful long drive.